Hey, welcome back
Hello.
to Nerd News Breakdown. This is the show.
Hey, we got one big fan in the house.
Yeah, thanks, Joel.
We applause.
Not yet. Oh, you want to applause now? 1, 2, 3, go.
Welcome back.
Damn train wreck. Guys, welcome back to Nerd News Breakdown. This is the show where we take the biggest stories from the weekend and we...
Break them down.
there's only 3 people behind the camera. Yay!
And not even mics.
No,
So I don't
not
know
at all.
if you can hear that.
I'm Sam Basher on this side of the table, and over here we have...
Philip Molina.
Yay!
Hey, hey. Oh, you guys are so nice, family.
What are you talking about today, Philip?
Oh, I am going to talk about the updates for the Apple Car and how it's probably maybe never going to happen, actually.
That's so depressing. But before we get to that, we got 2 stories today. I'm going to kick it off with my first one, and it's something sinister. A little segue into my story about how in the post-credits scene of X-Men Apocalypse, it was teased that Mr. Sinister is going to pop up in the X-Men movies at some point. He's a big fan favorite character, and the tease we got was Essex Corp, which was it's based on his name, Nathaniel Essex.
Yeah,
the comic says Mr. Sinister.
They're collecting the vials of Logan's blood.
Blood, and they also had other genetic samples in there, and you don't know where those are from. What could it be? So we didn't know when he was going to be showing up, but with the release of X-Men Apocalypse on DVD, there was some commentary between the director Bryan Singer and Simon Kinberg, like the main man behind a lot of Marvel projects. Yep. They were talking, and they said, yes, Mr. Sinister is going to show up, and he's going to be the villain in Wolverine 3, Old Man Logan, whatever they want to call that movie. So that's pretty cool. A lot of people are excited. Are you excited?
No, I'm crazy excited for that villain. It's a little weird that he's the main villain if they're doing the Old Man Logan storyline. Because the Old Man Logan storyline, by the way, just read it. It is like heart shredding. But it is also impossible to adapt directly into a movie, I think.
Even if they had access to everybody else.
Yeah.
Like
all the X-Men play a really important role in it.
Yeah, and all the Marvel universe. Like it's a huge deal. So I'm excited to see how they handle it. Seeing Patrick Stewart come back is really cool. But in the comics, for people who don't know, Mr. Sinister is he's a powerful X-Men adversary. He boasts some telepathy, some shape-shifting. He's basically invulnerable. He's got superhuman strength and intelligence and longevity, because it's believed that when I did some quick research before we started that he was a Victorian-era scientist.
Yeah, you don't need to know that about him.
I don't think so.
To follow, like that's just like, I think they actually, if I remember correctly, they retroactively were like, by the way, here's some stuff about him. But mostly he's just like a villain. He's obsessed with Cyclops and obsessed with creating the Ultimate Mutant.
Yes.
Which ended up creating Cable, actually, which could be a really interesting connection to the Deadpool movies.
That would be fun.
Because it is a shared universe. I feel like they won't do it.
I would. Maybe not the Cable and the Cyclops. Maybe Cyclops, because they could maybe bring back James Marsden or something like that.
So Cyclops is really important in the stories of Mr. Sinister, not just plot reasons. They're very intertwined, but also Cyclops is one of the only people that can actually kick his ass. So if you really need to defeat Mr. Sinister, it'd be cool if Cyclops could show up, but I haven't seen James Marsden in anything in a long time.
Yeah, he's been taking a break. I don't know what happened, but he did show up in Days of Future Past, so technically now he's still alive.
They undid X3.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be kind of fun if they did touched on the Victorian era stuff, kind of how they touched on the Egyptian stuff with
that part was great.
Apocalypse. I thought it was a cool
at the beginning.
take in the beginning.
Yeah, the beginning of X-Men Apocalypse is mind blowing. I loved that.
It's very fun
opening. Yeah.
So that could be fun. Also, there are ties between Mr. Sinister and Apocalypse, but I think that's a little too much for viewers.
I want them to do it though. If it's hey, you collected these characters that are very strongly linked. Apocalypse plays a role in the creation of Mr. Sinister in the comics. It's just find a way to make it work. We're so close.
You're so close, but we don't know. But as of right now, for Wolverine 3, we have a bunch of villains announced, like the Reavers, or at least these are rumored, but it's pretty much confirmed. The Reavers are going to show up, and they're cybernetic criminals, so that'd be really fun, especially in the Old Man Logan landscape of a desert apocalyptic world.
Yeah, I think that's not spoiling anything. But it's one of the hardest things about Old Man Logan world is that it's post-apocalyptic, but in a really interesting way. Imagine how you're Mad Max, right? That post-apocalyptic world.
Mad Max, yeah.
But imagine if the post-apocalyptic world inside of the Marvel universe, where it's the Hulk, what happened to him, and what would he do in a post-apocalyptic world? Great, that's a whole section of the country. That part is really interesting.
It's a very interesting comic if you want to check it out, because now Old Man Logan got pulled into the regular Marvel universe, so it's a little more. It kind of,
and now he's
not as
Wolverine.
interesting. He
just has like normal stories, but that his specific storyline, it's only like 8 issues, I think.
No, it's not, and like that's why it's so strange that so many people latched onto it.
Yeah,
but it is a good story, and also there was rumors of some Weapon X ties, like some Weapon X projects showing up in Wolverine 3. But the biggest rumor is that X-23, the clone of Logan, who is female, would be showing up in this movie.
Quasi daughter kind of thing.
Yeah, even though it's like his genetic material, like somehow got a girl out of there.
Right.
I haven't read that story,
so,
but she's cool.
I think they need to introduce that character because we all know that all of the X movies hinge so much on Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
And just the Wolverine character in general, he's almost the ongoing protagonist of the whole series.
Has he not been in a movie?
As
far as I can remember,
every single one, I think, maybe. At the least as like a cameo or something.
With First Class, he just shows up.
Yeah, a quick cameo. So if they're gonna if this character is gonna be retired, then you need some sort of replacement there. X-23 is a fan favorite, even though not an old character.
No.
Pretty new the last couple of years. And it's really interesting that it's a woman, but with the ferocity that Wolverine is known for. It's not like, oh, what am I gonna do? I'm, girl Wolverine. It's like, no, like stay away.
She's a threat. She's very formidable.
Yeah, and murderous.
And also she's just so cool with like the 2 claws and everything. And right now she's actually Wolverine in the comics. Like the Wolverine title is hers, and that's a lot of fun.
Get that mullet going.
Yeah. But also in terms of cast, Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart will be in this movie, and that's not a rumor. We have a picture we can throw up there of both of them. But also Wolverine looks way older than Patrick Stewart. But this will be their last appearance in an X-Men movie, which is kind of strange because it's been like over 10 years that they've been doing this.
When I was a kid, so what, like 4 years ago, I remember watching Patrick Stewart on The Next Generation, and me and my older brother were like, that's Professor Xavier. Like, we just knew he had to play Professor X. And then he did, and we were like, oh my God, we won $1 million, because we thought we could control it. But aside from that, we were like, we fan cast that. That was like, felt like one of the first instances of, we couldn't tweet that. It was 1920 at the time. So we wanted it so bad, and then Patrick Stewart was our Professor X. And I think even to this day, I mean, no offense to... what's his face? James McAvoy.
Oh, and he's great, though.
He's a fantastic actor. I just mean, to this day, no one embodies that more than Patrick Stewart, right? And so that figure leaving the X universe is like terrifying. For me, at least. He's, okay, this is going to get a little weird, but he's the Martin Luther King Jr. of the X-Men storyline.
I mean, that's what the goal was, that
for the character.
Magneto and Professor X would be to embody Malcolm X and
Martin Luther King Jr. And so that's a huge role that it's annoying when this happens, but it's true. The actor needs to have the kind of the gravitas and the respect for us to attribute those kinds of things to them. And Patrick Stewart's one of the few people that's just like universally like renowned. So to lose that would be sad. So hard to replace. And both him and Hugh Jackman, this is something I was telling Sam earlier, if they have to recast them or they're just gone because they're getting older, that makes me sad because it makes me face my own mortality.
No, but also James McAvoy has brought a lot to the role. He's built out the humanity of Professor X, because before he was just this figure that like is unwavering, he's powerful, that he leads the team.
Right.
And also we already kind of had an out with him with X3, like with
no, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
No,
we did.
That doesn't count.
We had an out, but then they brought him back. Yeah. We brought him back, and that was that's such a bad movie. But like it would be interesting to see what they do with the future of Wolverine. And if they just focused on the female Wolverine and built out her stories in movies, I think you could have a lot of fun.
Okay, so I'm on board there. I'm curious if you guys are on board with just like, okay, X-23 now is our Wolverine, and we just
that's what they do in the comics. And also they have a lot, since she's a clone, she has other clones that look like her, which is also interesting.
And a storyline too. But I'm gonna ask, how are you gonna feel about just Hugh Jackman just not being there anymore? Like, would you rather say they want to revisit it? I mean, there is that weird timeline thing where the current movies might catch up kind of to like the 90s and stuff. It's like, do you want normal Wolverine to show up again? And if so, do you want it to be a different actor?
That would be weird, but if they crossed over with the Marvel films, like MCU films and they needed a new actor, I think I'd be
That's
okay with
okay,
that.
yeah.
And I think
like
that's okay.
that, but honestly, if you're gonna start crossing over to the MCU, maybe just go ahead and reboot all the X-Men stories.
Don't
like in
touch.
general.
Yeah, like if you had the young kids showing up, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Maybe that.
But
yeah.
my question for you guys is: do you think this will be the grand finale for the classic X-Men cast? We're talking like Hugh
that's
Jackman, Patrick Stewart,
James
Marsden, whoever played Jean Grey. Because I can't remember.
Jansen.
There we go.
Yeah.
Or is this? And you think it's going to be like this epic kind of finale?
No, Kynal.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Kynal finale, the best kind.
Because I'm excited to see Mr. Sinister and all these really big name villains showing up. But when you do that, it kind of means it's like a signal of like an end coming.
Yeah, one of the big reasons why Mr. Sinister was even created was because Magneto and the Brotherhood had been kind of spent. It's like, man, we hit that again and again and again. And that's it. Magneto's like one of the best villains out there, period.
The movies have very much milked as much as they could out of that character.
And Michael Fassbender is amazing as that character too. But it is exactly kind of happening again, where in the comics they were like, okay, we can't go back to Magneto again. Can we create another villain and really intimately tie him to these people? Because that's what makes Magneto so interesting, is that he is, he almost feels like an X-Men.
No, he is. No, because sometimes he does lead them.
Right.
Sometimes he's in charge of the school, and like he's against them, but at the same time he's not, because they obviously share a lot of the same ideals. He's just willing to go further than everybody else.
Right, which is always an interesting conundrum of like of the bad guy isn't really that bad. He just goes too far.
Yeah,
but
every movie has always been about him being a good guy, and at the end being a dick. Yeah.
So Mr. Sinister was brought in then to inject some life into the villains, but also tie one in. And I feel like you're right. Like it's like, oh well, we did it. We really exhausted the Brotherhood and Magneto. Let's bring in Mr. Sinister, and it's like, oh, that's kind of the end. It's the Twilight.
It's going to be probably a very emotional movie, especially for X-Men, because it's if they go with the old man Logan route, that is a depressing story, especially from Wolverine's point of view. Like what led him to get to where he is in that story is so sad. But also, if you know, like Mr. Sinister with his telepathy and everything, that would be a good it would be a good filler for the old man Logan storyline to get him to where he needs to be.
Yeah, instead of introducing, I think it was Mysterio in the comics, which
that makes sense.
Mysterio's,
he's not. He's also not that intimidating usually. He's just got a big fishbowl.
Yeah.
But also, like, kind of quick question, because I think we're gonna get something really epic in that finale of this movie. But also, we know that Stephen Merchant, Richard E. Grant, both of them are going to be in this movie, and then we don't know what role they're going to be. I just pull up the IMDb right there. But which one do you feel is going to be Mr. Sinister? I have my vote on Richard E. Grant, and he was on Doctor Who. I don't think you're a Doctor Who fan, but he played a great role in that. And maybe he was in the Pirates movies as well, because he kind of looks like that actor. But I get a Mr. Sinister vibe from him.
Different guy. But okay, don't make it Stephen Merchant.
What do you think he's gonna be then?
Stephen Merchant is welcome to. You know what? He looks like a brilliant scientist. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they split Mr. Sinister into like a little bit of there's a scientist that works at the Essex Corporation, and there's also a guy who's the main bad guy. Maybe they kind of separate it out a little bit. You coming from Oscar Isaac, whether you loved him or not, as Apocalypse is one of the best kind of heavy weighted actors right now. Stephen Merchant is a very funny guy.
Oh yeah, he's gonna bring at least a little bit of lighter tone to this movie that is supposed to be very dour.
But don't make him our villain.
Don't make him the villain. That's fine.
Yeah.
It would be kind of fun to see Stephen Merchant, because I loved him as Wheatley in Portal 2. He was the little blue sphere. You never played? Oh
no, I know.
Ooh.
What?
I love that game.
Man, I know.
But I tweeted out asking you guys for thoughts on this. Ryan Faroki, hey Ryan, he's a big fan of the show. I asked you guys, are you excited for Mr. Sinister showing up in Wolverine 3? He said, Sam, he's one of my favorite villains. Hope he doesn't look like a fucking Muppet, though, because Apocalypse kind of had the Muppet thing going with the little side mouth stuff.
Which is not unfair to the
Muppets
character
are scary
design.
sometimes.
Oh, wait. No, I'm not agreeing with that. I'm saying, he looked kind of like he does in the comics, but man, the moment you, it drawing lines on face, it just does not translate well. So Mr. Sinister has one of the hardest costumes to adapt. He's like an albino vampire, like
With
Elvis
diamonds
impersonator.
everywhere.
Yeah, like he's like there's so many ways to mess that up. Good luck.
Good luck. That's the biggest thing. But guys, let it answer my question down below. Let's move on to the second story of the day. Philip, what do you want to talk about?
So the Apple car, which you may or may not know about, it's this car that Apple's been working on for a while, and it's like you might think of a shortcut to think of it is like Tesla-esque, right? That's kind of what they're aiming
way to
for.
pitch it, yeah.
It's being rebooted. According to Apple, at least internally, they're like, we're rebooting the Apple Car project, which is also known as Project Titan internally. Rebooting something before it's ever seen the light of day. It wasn't even going to come out until 2020. And by rebooting, what they really meant is there's been a lot of layoffs. And parts of the projects have been shut down entirely.
Wow.
So here's what's really sad about that. I think they had literally thousands of people working on this project. And they had taken hundreds of engineers from various car companies, Tesla being one of the main ones. And so Elon Musk has been throwing shade at Apple for like 2 years now about it, where they just went and they found some of the best engineers in the industry and they hired them to build what was going to be the Apple car. It was going to be autonomous and futuristic, and it revolutionized cars. And the best call we've ever made yet. But
Johnny Ives.
A little Johnny Ives. So they now are rebooting it, but basically it kind of feels like they might be killing the hardware side of it.
So just not designing a car that would be released at like, you can go to like an Audi dealership and buy an Apple car or something like that.
Well, I think you would go to an Apple dealership.
Which is weird at the same
I'll go to the Apple store. Yeah. It's like on a wooden table. And there's like a little kid playing with it, and you're just like waiting for him to finish. It's like, you're not gonna buy it. I just want to plug in my Apple car to charge there while I'm at the mall. So they are potentially going to do what Google has done for a long time, actually, which is just focus on the software of that artificial intelligence that creates an autonomous car. Google has been doing it for a very long time. Their Prius fleet that they've kind of put a bunch of cameras on, not just for Street View, but for autonomous driving. Famously, it crashed once on their thing. It was like very small crash actually, but it was like a big deal because like, oh, are these things safe?
But wasn't it because of human error of other cars like hitting them?
Maybe I think it was like in a really slow moving road too, and it was a very minor crash. We'll get to a worse crash in a second. But so Google has been doing that. Uber also has been very into developing the software. But the big difference with Uber's autonomous cars is they don't want you to have an autonomous car. They want Uber to have an autonomous car fleet of cars.
That's pretty cool.
And that means that you would walk out of your door in the morning and like these cars are kind of just going by, and you could maybe hail one or probably obviously hit a button on your phone, and the car just stops. You get in, takes you to your destination like a taxi does or an Uber, and you get out and you never see that car again, which you would think like, well, isn't that really bad for energy and like these cars that are always running? I think they've done a couple of studies where these things actually would be more efficiently used that way because they only let out the amount of fleet that's needed at that time. Also, it eliminates most of the needs for parking. So all of these like parking lot issues and like how much land is just devoted to parking kind of gets reopened up when it's like the cars are constantly going. They don't actually really need to park at all. Also, it can clear up traffic issues because most of the cars on the road, ideally, eventually, would be part of the Uber fleet, which is scary. Like
I'm down for that. I'm super down for autonomous cars that can drive themselves, especially when it comes to Uber. Like it also maybe you can lower your prices a little bit. Maybe that'd be nice because like especially with LA, there's a lot of surge pricing, but seeing like autonomous cars, maybe also insurance rates would go down.
Oh, of course,
because they're constantly communicating, or at least there have been talks of car software being built that like helps cars communicate with each other so they don't run into everybody, or so it makes sense if these Uber cars would have that kind of software. I'd feel safer in there than I would be with a normal driver, I think.
Yeah. I mean a car fleet, I think we could basically trust it all running like side by side, and I think we all have the same image in our heads of like
all
this,
black cars just like constantly going by,
like 6 inches apart, like but going like 90 miles an hour or something. That's totally exciting, and Uber would probably get government subsidies, so they would be able to lower their prices probably at that point. And then there's Tesla, who has also introduced autonomous driving software, and theirs is the really scary thing where someone died not long ago. Here's what's crazy about it. I'm like stupidly into Tesla. Like it just
Tesla's
excites
awesome.
me. Yeah. It's just all this. I love Elon Musk's idea of like, oh, future tech needs to get made. Someone needs to actually do it, and we can just sit down and do it. There's a lot of reasons why not to do these things, but he just wants to do it. So he did that, and he put in autonomous driving software on this car, and you could actually upgrade a current Tesla to be able to do it.
So you could buy a car that right now could drive itself.
Yeah, you can. There's little legal implications. My car right now, I drive a Mazda 6. It can drive itself in a straight line.
So I got a Mazda as well, and that was a feature that you could. I'm leasing, but like if you wanted to upgrade, you could get to like a weird. Yeah, that's really
I love it on the highway. I turn it on and I just go to sleep.
Wait, really?
No.
Okay, I was like, oh,
yeah, let's go for a ride. No, but it's adaptive cruise control is what it is, and it can create a consistent distance from the car in front of you. And it's kind of saved my ass a couple times, honestly. Sometimes it's better at driving than I am, but it doesn't do turns. So the Tesla car is more advanced than that, and it can drive itself. But you have to keep a finger on the steering wheel at least, so that you still technically maintain legal responsibility for the driving that you're doing.
Okay.
So anyway, this guy was here's what's sad about it. His death is what's sad about it. Here's why it affected me just a little bit more. I'd been watching this guy's videos. He was posting these videos to YouTube just talking about Tesla and how excited he was, and he showed off features, and I remember he showed off the autonomous driving feature, and it was so amazing, and I was like, I have to save up to buy a Tesla from this video. And then later, it was revealed that a Tesla driver had been killed in an accident. He either had fallen asleep while driving or something, but he collided. The car was going way too fast, and it hit another car, and he was killed. But then I looked it up, and they posted a picture. I was like, no, it's the guy I watch on YouTube doing it, which is like the worst thing that could have ever happened for the technology of autonomous cars. So that's all the software that's out there that we've been talking about. But Apple has been supposedly working on the hardware of an Apple car and autonomous driving software. And
good. Work on both. That makes sense. Smart move.
So they're not doing that anymore.
That sucks.
So Elon Musk had said they don't know what they're getting into with building a car. And
also, at timeout, this guy's he's in charge of SpaceX, he's building rockets. Like, hold on, I don't think you fully know what you're doing either with your life, but anyways, continue.
Which aren't doing as well either. Yeah. But he's not wrong. Cars there's a reason that the same car companies have existed for such a long time, and it's very hard for a new car brand to break into the industry. It's just really hard to get a car right, and it takes 100 years to really kind of figure it out, right? So Teslas are great, but sometimes they have small issues like they did recently. But the Apple car apparently they're just running into a lot of hurdles. So that's what this reboot is maybe we'll just work only on the autonomous software instead of 2 projects at once. And then I started thinking of the Apple TV, how excited I was. If you guys are Apple fans, you know that Steve Jobs, his last thing after he was done being CEO actually was, I'm going to stop being CEO, but I'm going to tackle TVs. I want to crack it. I want to figure out, no pun intended about Apple products being cracked, but I want to figure out how to make the Apple TV just a new way to experience TV.
And when you pitched it to me, it sounds incredible.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to sign up for a cable service or anything. It's all directly to the TV. You buy it, this TV itself. It's very high resolution. It's all these things. And he said that he had cracked it, the interface, everything. He had figured it out. And then the same thing happened. It's not easy to get into the TV game, especially the TV hardware game. Yeah. And then you get blocked by Comcast and by DirecTV and all these companies that make their money by forcing you to buy these packages. So they gave up on that, and they made the Apple TV device that is just introducing software. That also Apple CarPlay, it's just like software. It's not hardware.
I've never used CarPlay, but I have first-gen Apple TV, and it's great. I've heard the Apple TV Generation 2 is incredible.
Yeah, I have the most recent Apple TV. It takes some getting used to with the remote, but I love that it's microphone, but Roku already had that. Whatever. So point being, though, they go to the software and they make very clean software, and I enjoy that, but I love most when they tackle hardware. So I'm curious, they might still do it, what you think the dream Apple hardware version of an Apple car would be, just like what the best features would be. And then we're going to talk in a second after that about what Apple would probably actually do.
Because right now they have some mock-ups of cars, right? We
can look at some. Motor Trend did some. I think they're butt ugly.
Yeah, oh god, they're all beige, and it's stop, don't make a beige
Let's bring
car.
back the 97 Camry look. The champagne colors.
And I saw one where the whole top of the car comes off to get inside of it with the doors. It's you're doing way too much here, Apple. just like the thing we like is like the sleekness. We like it like
that's what the
looking
Teslas are so great about,
right?
And then not even you don't even have to like come up with it. Copy the Lexus design from Minority Report, that like sleek like bubble, and inside like the seats turned inward, and you would just like have conversations while the cars like drove on the side of buildings. And stuff. That car worked, by the way. That Lexus car, you could actually drive it.
I heard about that.
But anyway, get nice design. But aside from that, what would you want to see in an Apple car?
You want the most in-depth interface. Like right now, I like in Mazdas, I like that they have the little turn knobby thing.
we both have that.
Yeah, we have that.
Knob,
And it just makes it
ripped
so
off
easy.
from BMW.
Yeah, but it makes it so easy to use things and not get distracted on the road. You can just be like, we're just turning it to like navigation, or you're turning it to like radio now, or your iPhone or whatever, just to play music. But I would like an interface like that where it could be a touchscreen like display right below your gear shift. Like you can move your finger around on the screen to like update like navigation where I want to go, or like you can maybe like put in commands, kind of like old Palm Pilots. Remember, like you couldn't write on Palm Pilots; you had to learn a code to write things.
Gibberish or jiggle or something.
Yeah,
it was like its own language that you had to write.
It'd be kind of fun if there was something like that to get to like different like things in the menu. Also, if you like plugged in your phone,
gesture control.
like wouldn't that be really cool? Like a gesture control with your hand.
Yeah, like swipe up or whatever, or it has a camera based kind of like Microsoft Connect or something.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty slick. I'll one up your thing, and I'm also stealing it from Mazda actually because I have it on my car. It has a heads up display for the speed. The speedometer like pops up, and at first you're like, that's unnecessary. The speed is right there, but the fact that it's clear and it's through the windshield, I'll always out of the corner of my eye see pretty big the speed I'm going without taking my eyes off the windshield. I would love for Apple to finally break through the heads-up display that is not distracting, but rather enhancing the curvature of the road. I can kind of see it a little bit more clearly. My navigation is on the fucking windshield and not on my device.
Yeah, if they could break in, because like Apple Maps has a lot of problems. I really haven't touched it since it came out. Like Google Maps,
it's better, but it still has like little
problems.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine just like if they like fully committed to like fixing Apple Maps and then integrating it straight into the car? Like that would be one of the biggest selling points for
you mean on the windshield?
On the windshield, you had a great pitch for it.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Also, I love the idea, you brought it up, but autonomous cars where the seats can turn and you can look at each other and like talk to each other. That's the whole point of self-driving cars, is that you could have social interactions with everyone else in there, also sleeping. But like that would be a big benefit of self-driving cars. Now, what are we actually going to get? There's not going to be a fuel pump. You're not going to be able, like, they don't want you to plug it in with anywhere else. You have to go to an Apple whatever, like stand to like go charge it on something.
We also asked some people what dream things they would want, and someone said an audio jack, and I think that's not gonna happen.
Of course not.
You're not getting that. I really like this idea though. This is from @Jankunas13. Self-cleaning. Like it's
inside?
just like, but I'll take it to mean both. He does say he hates cleaning inside his car, like the dust and stuff. If it just like and like kills you if you're in there by accident or something. But if it could just like clean itself, that'd be pretty sweet because we're slobs.
Yeah.
Like, we're disgusting people.
One of the coolest
cars.
features I've seen are the cars that have air conditioning in the seats. It's something that like I would never need.
Oh,
but imagine if you could kind of retrofit that so it could blow the dust up from the seats that get like caught in the corners onto the ground, and then the ground can kind of self-clean however it needs to, like with like a fan or something. Dumps out.
Yeah. I'm from Florida, and those like the cooled seats are actually amazing.
Yeah,
like
I've used it one time and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, because you're stuck to it. You get stuck to the seats really. Because the thing is, you're wearing shorts a lot.
Yeah,
and then it's humid, and then you get in there and you burn your leg on the freaking seatbelt thing. But also, it's like you just like sink in and you get like wet.
Gross.
From sitting in your seat. It's beautiful. But yeah, realistically, so you're saying we probably won't. I think you're right. We won't get a gas.
It's gonna be complicated. And it's gonna be their own thing. And it's like you can't add features on. You can't like change. Your
definitely
tires.
closed ecosystem. Yeah. You'll have to have an iPhone to really interact with it. It'll be like tethered to an iPhone.
That's so dumb. But if you could like, what would be cool is that if you have your iTunes Apple account in there, music's already loaded into the car. You have your and you have like your apps.
You kind of have that now if you have your iPhone.
True, but it's like in the computer of the car. Like think of it in
like Siri is the one singing it to you or whatever. You'll only be able to interact with Siri. Oh, you know what? Here's an Appleism. No buttons. No nothing.
No buttons.
You have to do everything through Siri. And here's why I actually buy that. currently on CarPlay, I've already played with it. You basically have to do everything through Siri, or like you can kind of tap stuff, but it wants you to go to Siri for everything, which I get. It's much safer.
Starting the car, changing gears, windshield wipers, everything.
yeah. Swerve to avoid, Siri.
Yeah.
Like, changing station.
Siri, come on. Siri, change lanes.
Brake,
quick.
brake. Yeah.
Siri, will you please brake?
Yeah, now playing youtube.com/brake.
But I think it will. The car will look sleek. It won't really integrate well with Android phones, I think, which will be a big deterrent. Yeah. But I think, honestly, if they're taking such a strict, like a very hard turn away from hardware, we're gonna just start seeing like Mercedes with like more integrated CarPlay, or like a way to like you'll see like a Siri button on your heads-up display, and you can use it that way.
I hate the boring like incremental changes. I was talking about recently on a live stream that no one's gonna see because it's no longer relevant. Yeah, our secret live stream. About the future tech and how we're running out of future technology. Like, we've achieved a lot of the things. Yeah, we don't have... Well, we kind of have a flying car, actually, if you've seen a couple of these things. But we don't really want people to have flying cars because they're going to kill everyone. But just like the things that we thought would be so far away, like the iPhone solved like 80% of future technology. Computers are so much more advanced. It's kind of like there's not so many things left. So I get really impatient with like things like the cars and stuff.
I just thought you could start your car with your fingerprint. That's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of fun.
There's already at least a patent to get into your car with your finger.
That's cool.
Out there. So, yeah, that'd be pretty easy to do. But, yeah, I want it to be tricked out future car now. That said, amazing stat. This is Ford and a bunch of other major car companies said they think self-driving cars next 5 years.
Really?
In the next 5 years.
That is a nice goal. Let's see what happens though.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as the electric car in general was like, oh, one day, you know, in 100 years or something. And then it kind of like, it's like, oh, well, we could just do it. And now it's like my apartment complex has like a number of electric only cars that are parked to plug in or whatever. It's there.
It's a smart idea. It makes sense, especially if we need to get away from fossil fuels. But, guys, we've been talking a lot about this. Yeah. Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching also, but answer our questions. What question you got for those people?
All right, so I'm going to tag on another one because we talked it out a lot. So definitely, what are your dream features in an Apple car, and then what's Apple actually going to give us? But I also want to know, will you get the first one, the first like purely self-autonomous driving car? Because there is that Apple like thing like, oh, I got the first iPhone, you know, whatever, 3G or whatever one you were excited to get. Would you get the first self-driving car? Because that's dangerous.
That's dangerous. I'll wait until like Series 3. Wait until like Series 3. Wait a couple of years, also saving up because you know that's going to be expensive.
Every year also there will be a new one.
Yeah, and then I can't like get an Apple Car Forever plan where you have to go, you go switching your cars.
Paying monthly.
Yeah. But answer my question down below. Do you think this is like a final goodbye to the X-Men classic cast? We're going to miss them. They're great people. But let us know down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bye. Sam.
Philip.
Follow Philip on Twitter at FEMA. Follow me on Twitter at
Sam Basher.
Hey, he knows it. Yeah. And we'll see you kids tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye. I am a fan of cats. The problem is when they want to like cuddle or whatever, it gets fucking sexual.
What do you...